I used to consider myself to be a master juggler, although not necessarily with these balls, with the many roles and responsibilities that I juggle in my life. I'm a wife, a mother, a student, an employee, a small business owner, a life coach in training, a visiting teacher, a friend, and a primary teacher, and more. I'm sure many of you juggle similar roles and responsibilities in your own life, and it can be a struggle to keep everything balanced. I used to think that the more I could cram into my life, the better. In fact, this is a tendency that is not unique to me. Elder Oaks even addressed it in his 2007 conference talk entitled Good, Better, Best, where he spoke of the tendency that we have in today's society to cram so many good things into our lives that we don't necessarily have room for the better or the best things. In fact, my life was so busy that I totally relate with this sign that my mom usually has hanging in her kitchen. It reads, "There will be no crisis this week. My schedule is full." Now, if you have achieved balancing your time, your top priorities are getting done all of the time, and you have plenty of spare time, this talk is not for you. However, if like me, you've found yourself wondering if you could add a few hours to the day to get enough done, or you found that rare brief moment of time where you couldn't decide what to do because there were so many things you could do to fill that moment, then I would like to explore with you what happens when we get overwhelmed and show you ways to find your way out if that's where you frequently find yourself. In Mosiah 4:27, it describes living in overwhelm as running faster than we have strength, which can be done for short periods of time, but if it becomes a way of life, it can lead to physical illness, to exhaustion, lack of patience, and strained relationships. I know that when I get run down, I really can't give my best to my husband and my children. And under normal circumstances, most of us wouldn't yell at our family members. But it can happen when we push ourselves to the point of exhaustion. I know I got to a point where I actually started to get sick on Sundays frequently because it was the one day that I would allow myself to rest. I resisted any effort to bring more order to my life, but at what cost to my health and my family? Intellectually, I knew that I needed to put my own oxygen mask on first, like the airlines always remind me when I fly. I knew that I couldn't keep giving indefinitely without refilling myself by resting and recharging. In fact, in Scream-Free Parenting, Hal Ruskell describes this concept as "I love me so that I can love you." We can't give to others as freely as we would like when we're depleted. He hypothesizes that it is not until we truly love and care for our own needs that we're capable of reaching out and giving love to those around us. And it was only when I began to realize that taking care of myself is not selfish. In fact, it's absolutely vital to me being able to keep up with the things that matter most in my life. And it was at that point that I started to change. I finally took the advice of a wise friend who said, you don't need to be completely overwhelmed in order to say no. Well, duh. It was such a simple yet profound concept. Just say no. I create my life. I choose what I commit to do. I choose how I use my time, my energy, and the resources that I have each day. And when I'm so busy that all I can do is run from activity to activity, there's no time to think and no time to prioritize. Stephen R. Covey described the things that tend to fill our lives when we're in this mode as being urgent but not important. Now, if this is where you are, how can you find a way out? I started by saying no to all but the most important of my priorities. I took care of my family. I kept up with work and school and church, but other things didn't get as much of my attention. And then I started to notice where my attention was. I would take a deep breath and just focus on where my attention was. Was I replaying things from the past? Or was it running ahead to the future and all of the things that I need to do there? If so, I would try to really intentionally bring it back into the present moment and then do my best to focus on just one thing at a time. Now, writing can also be an amazing antidote to overwhelm. Pamela Bruner shared that while our brains are incredible, they do have limited capacities. And if we're using them to remember everything, we won't be able to use them to sort, prioritize, and solve problems. So she suggested a process called a brain dump. Now, a brain dump is really simple. Basically, you just start writing or typing, and you just write or type everything that comes to mind for as long as you can until you can't possibly think of anything else to write or type. Once that's done, it'll be easier to take a look at all of the things that are taking up bits of your attention. Feel free to prioritize the things that you've written down and possibly even make a more concise to-do list. Now, as I started doing these things regularly, I found that the things that mattered to me most were getting done each day. I found that my relationship with my husband and my children was improving, and my health was improving. I also found that when I focused on just one thing at a time, I was able to get it done more quickly and with higher quality results than when I was trying to handle all of these different things and multitask and try to do it all at once. Now, it wasn't an instant change. It did take time. But as I consistently applied these principles, I found that my life became so much easier. So, especially if you find yourself being overwhelmed, I would challenge you to just take a few minutes and try one of these tools. Say no to someone without explaining or apologizing. Take a deep breath and focus on the present moment, or just do a brain dump. You may just find yourself marveling at how such simple tools can create space for you to choose how you want to create your life. Thank you.